Hi all, welcome to Hitify. You might have observed the logo change, right? I'm extremely grateful to Gokul Narayanan from Chennai who volunteered to do that. Today I wanted to talk about Indian cinema and why we lack a punch when it comes to harnessing our soft power. Firstly, let's define what soft power is. Soft power is the ability to attract and co-opt rather than coerce. In other words, soft power involves shaping the preferences of others through appeal and attraction. If you look at the top ranked nations in the world, they're all either European nations or United States. Unfortunately, India doesn't even show up in the list. While United States has the most mighty military power in the world, the biggest weapon they have is a soft power that they harnessed over time and reap benefits of it. I don't want to delve into too much of history here, but starting from helping their allies defeat Hitler army during World War II to stopping the Japanese invasion by heavy-heartedly nuking a couple of their cities, they've always stayed triumphant and created a general impression of being the good guys, right? Then they have had successful moon mission 50 years back and emergence of NASA as the dream destination for many aspiring astronauts out there. Then the revolution in cinema, which attracted talents from many parts of the world. You had the Disney Worlds and the Universal Studios. Tech world revolution that again attracted the best and brightest talents in the world. In general, barring some recent political hiccups, the entire world has always watched United States with sense of awe. There is a high number of Hollywood movies which are in the business of saving the world from the brink of destruction. In the 1998 movie Armageddon, a bunch of blue-collar, deep-hole drillers nuked the approaching asteroids and saved the world. NASA didn't have any qualms about anything the movie portrayed about NASA, as it just enhanced their brand name. Think about it, friends. The movie made about $500 million in 1998, and visiting NASA Kennedy Space Center became a dream come true for many Hollywood movie fans around the world through such movies. In the movie Independence Day, a couple of Air Force pilots from the United States go and destroy the alien mothership, thus saving the world again. In many of these movies, there will be a couple of scenes where they show turban-wearing Indians huddled around Taj Mahal, praying for America to save them and rejoicing when there is a happy ending. Now, while each and every superhero of Avengers saves the planet or certain fictional cities, when they all come together in Avengers series, they end up saving the whole freaking universe. The main point here is it all sells around the world. Hollywood has perfected the art of selling over-the-top entertainers in such a beautiful manner that many countries don't even have a vibrant movie industry of their own, as they realize that there is no point competing with Hollywood. At the end of the day, Hollywood is part of a popular culture around the world, and what is portrayed is generally the American narrative. If you look at British cinema, they also have had extraordinary presence in world cinema market, be it their film series, Harry Potter or James Bond, and their directors, Christopher Nolan, Alfred Hitchcock, or Ridley Scott. They have a big list of world-renowned names and franchises. They even proudly flaunted their soft power by having James Bond escort the Queen of England during the 2012 Olympics. Even the fast food and beverage joints like Pizza Hut, McDonald's and Starbucks became uber cool places for urban youngsters in India to hang out because of the soft power that the Western world exercised through their cinema. Now switching gears to India, one thing that should make us all tap each other's back is the fact that in spite of the fact that Hollywood has been years ahead of us in terms of storytelling or technology, they have not been able to make a significant dent in overall cinema revenue generated in India. The reason being that there is an overflow of cinema in our country. We are a country making freaking 2,000 movies in a year, and industries are competing with each other. For the rest of the world, we are all under one bucket named Bollywood. The term Bollywood itself has a cheap connotation, right? Name any other film industry in the world that has copied the term Hollywood and changed the first letter of it. Our media houses went further down the lane and shamefully named each and every industry as some kind of wood. The Kannada film industry got a little more creative and started calling it as sandalwood. I mean, think about it, guys. What thrill are we getting by force-fitting the term wood for all the industries? Isn't it more dignified to just refer to them simply as the Malayalam film industry or a Kannada film industry? Now, talking about our own cinema soft power, the yesteryear heartthrobs Raj Kapoor and Amitabh Bachchan have had big fan following in certain European countries, Egypt and some Arab countries. I can give a personal example where an old man from Palestine, whom I met in a gas station or a petrol bunk, in the US recognized that I am an Indian and started singing and dancing for the song Mera Juta Hai Japani, E Patloon Englistani. He said those were the golden memories of his childhood. Now, likewise, there are innumerable cab drivers I've met from Iraq and ex-Soviet countries who talk about our old Hindi movies. What's interesting is that they never caught up on the current generation of actors. It doesn't mean that the Khans and the Kapoors of the current generation of Bollywood are not popular. Shah Rukh Khan is possibly the most popular star in current times, with an incredible fan base in countries like Germany, Poland, Arab countries, and many African countries. Likewise, Amir Khan became a accidental superstar in China starting from Three Idiots that connected with their audience magically. His stardom continued there through other movies like Dangal and Secret Superstar. Talking about Rajanikanth, when someone got creative and decided to showcase Rajini's Muthu in Japan, he was able to generate some kind of fun, craze, and enthusiasm that the Japanese had not experienced before. Now, what we discussed so far is all good, right? But the more deeper you go and understand, most of this popularity actually just happened by chance. Amir Khan, one of the rare sensible superstars of our country, was part of movies that told inspiring stories of middle class Indians. China and few other Eastern countries lapped them up as the sentiments expressed in the movie hit the right chord there. Now, through DDLJ, when SRK showcased his lover boy charm and energy on screen, he became quite popular among the Europeans. He stuck to that genre for many more movies and gained more and more fans. His directors added more colorful costumes, dance numbers, which changed the definition of Indian cinema for the Westerners. While his movies were kind of getting unrelatable to many in India, the NRIs and the foreigners just loved them. For most Westerners, Bollywood just became a dance form, thanks to SRK and Karan Johar for making a lot of foreigners think that the entire Indian cinema is all about exotic songs and dance. Now, switching gears to South cinema, I feel very bad that even though there is extraordinary work happening in the South, the movies are not getting popular outside the South Asian diaspora. Yes, it is true that post Bahubali, South movies have gained popularity among pan-India audience, but what is stopping our directors to go beyond those boundaries? When Rajmouli's Bahubali and Shankar's Endiran series got released in China and other countries, everyone expected them to do the same magic as Amir Khan movies did, but they all ran dismally. I think among regional movie production houses, even though there are many movies being showcased in film festivals around the world, there is no effort whatsoever to really get serious about doing proper market research and gaining popularity among foreign audiences. Back in 2000, the Chinese martial arts based movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon broke all the barriers to win many prestigious awards and also expand their market. Why haven't we tapped into the market through our own martial arts form, Kalaripaita, the oldest martial arts form in the world? The half-baked scripts of Bhagi or Era Marivu or Mamangam didn't do much justice to Kalari as a martial art form. It required a British director, Danny Boyle, to unleash India's soft power through the movie Slumdog Millionaire by also stitching in some songs and dance. Unfortunately, this movie just reassured the poor impression that Western world had about India. Talking about our own superheroes, if you take Krish series, right, there are so many plagiarism charges starting from plot to posters. Foreign locations are chosen for all the action sequences as there is tax incentives and it's easy for Krish, right, to jump from building to building. While Hollywood superheroes save the world or the universe, G1 or Ravan didn't go beyond family sentiments or boundaries. Now switching to the movie Mission Mangal. Friends, this was a perfect opportunity to showcase what challenges ISRO actually went through to get there. The film, even though delved into some science, stuck to the masala format for the most part. An extremely complex mission that involved hundreds of scientists got diminished to a bunch of amateur tech nerds working in a dingy office and pulling this off against all odds. Shakuntala Devi had all the melodrama, mannerisms, emotions, deceit and exuberance, but missed the main thing. Yes, it's a math. She was just magically solving all the math problems as they realized that we won't be interested in the actual math of Shakuntala Devi. Friends, as I end this video, Indian cinema, unfortunately, doesn't have a solid identity. As I said before, the Western world sees us through the lens of Bollywood dance form or Slumdog Millionaire. Chinese didn't seem to care too much about movies other than Amir Khan's. Regional cinema should try to carve out its space in foreign markets and explore platforms to showcase them. OTT platforms might provide a level playing field for quality content from around the world, but most of the movies released recently from our industry have been quite dismal. The Chinese government has taken this issue seriously and they want their cinema to get more innovative technologically and regain the lost soft power they used to have during the Bruce Lee or the Jackie Chan era. Governments in our country haven't taken this seriously anytime as they have not explored cinema beyond Hindi film industry. Talented ones don't have access to big production houses, and those who have access to big production houses would churn out these stupid movies like Tiger Zinda Hai or Student of the Year. Thank you very much, folks.